wellness sector in 2024. I'd like to welcome our panelists for today. We've got Dr. Mamta Shah. Uh, she's a consultant, psychologist, psychoanalyst, and psychotherapist. We've got Ms. Manisha Bhagat. She is a nutritionist. She is a health coach. We're waiting for Ravi ji to join us. He's a happiness ambassador, an author, and spiritual mentor. I also have with me my colleague Kavi Singh Bhandari, who is a correspondent at BW Businessworld. So, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. What we've done today for today's discussion is we've divided it into mind, body, and soul. And to kick off our discussion today, Dr. Shah, I'd like to come to you first to talk about, when you meet people nowadays, you find that they're using, phrases like, I have so much anxiety, or this is causing me so much anxiety, or my work, or my, things at home. So are we becoming a nation of highly anxious people? Are we always stressed out? What is your view? And how does one tackle that?
I think what's going on, what's happening is, if we look at it as pre-COVID and post-COVID times, because COVID seems to have brought out, exaggerated a lot of conditions, mental health conditions that were there from before, but were not really accepted or not really looked at. So if we look at it in that way, what happened was that pre-COVID, everybody used to really keep things to themselves, wouldn't discuss it with people, would either be ashamed or embarrassed about having a condition, mental health or emotional condition, as opposed to post-COVID, where suddenly the whole nation, the whole world was going through something where things like anxiety, just erupted and everybody felt the same thing. And what that brought about was a comradeship of people that, okay, it's okay to have this condition. But like everything which suddenly erupts like a volcano can lead to what you're exactly talking about. That how do you differentiate that? Is this just, you know, uh, uh, is this a mental health or emotional condition, or is this just something that, can amount to an attention-seeking behavior? Um, what I would say that even if it's attention seeking, the fact that they talk about it, there's some reality to it.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, so I would say that yes, we're just becoming a nation that are more open to talking about anxiety than what we were pre-COVID times. So that's why it just seems to be like, a kind of eruption of, talking about mental health condition. Now, I think one thing I think that's really important that I would like to talk about is that, we take it for granted that we feel that the mind and body are separate, right? We take it for granted. The mind is separate, body is separate. So if we fall ill physically, we'll go to a doctor. But if we have fall ill mentally or emotionally, we're too ashamed to go to anybody. We keep it to ourselves till till it goes to a level where the people around you can see it. And that's when then it's a bit too late. Not, I wouldn't say too late, but the suffering has gone on so long then, right? Um, so I think the main thing that I think that will help us to even kind of bring it together is to look at the mind and body, although they are separate entities, have continuous links with each other. So we can't divorce one from the other, right?
That
So
is,
for example, yes,
I
sorry.
think that is very true because it's when you're stressed out or you're anxious or you have a meeting which you know is going to be slightly tense, then you always start getting this strange feeling in the pit of your stomach, and
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and anxiety is one disorder, mental health disorder, that its seat is in the body. So you
Hmm.
get palpitations, you get sweating, you feel hot, you feel your heart thumping. The issue with that is that then most people feel that it's a physiological disorder. So they keep on going to the doctor, and the doctor says, everything is well with you. There's nothing wrong with your heart, nothing. Please go and see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So that can be confusing for somebody because, again, it goes back to accepting that this condition is nothing to be, it's not separate from the body because the mind is also, part of the body. So I think the common mistake we make is segregating, right, the mind and body rather than looking at it as a link. So, for example, if we fall ill, we go to a doctor, we take a medication, we feel better. So why is it that we can't do that when we fall mentally ill? I mean, even when we're mentally ill, it's biological and physiological. They're chemical imbalances, they're chemical changes. For example, if serotonin or dopamine goes low, you feel depressed, you feel low, right? If cortisol levels are high, you feel stressed out, you feel anxious, right? So one has to manage that, and there are medications to help you. So that's one way of looking at it. Now, let's say you have less severe symptoms, right? Then what one can do is one can probably talk to people that they are that they trust. It could be family members or friends that they trust, or they could go to a therapist to bounce out their feelings, to just talk about things that they don't want anyone else to know. But at the same time, the therapist is trained to not be judgmental, not really give advices which are unnecessary. Sometimes you don't want, what to do, but you still want to talk about it, and that's okay, right?
So it's okay to be not okay, and it's okay.
I think we are okay and not okay are two sides of the same coin, right? And we forget that.
Yeah.
That if we are, I mean, when your life is going up, it's going to come down also. It's so everything has a cycle, right? The other thing that one can actually do is to establish a routine. We think, oh, what is routine? I want to do anything. I just want to free flow. They don't realize that by doing that, it's okay to not have a routine in holidays, right? But you can't have holidays for the rest of your life. Then it's not a holiday anymore. So you need spurts of, spontaneity, but at the same time, you need routine to help you feel safe and to make things predictable. So you don't have to think and worry, okay, what do you have to do next?
Yeah.
Right. So that's important. Another thing is, which, it's very cliched, but develop a hobby. I think what I've observed is that in India, developing a hobby is not something that, is kind of brought up in the upbringing of children. That's important, as important as the academics. And I think both are just as important. What happens when we develop a hobby is we are in that activity, in that pleasurable activity, in the moment, right? So there's no thoughts about past or future. We are in the present, so everything goes away. There are no stresses, no anxieties, nothing. The main issue is that when we don't have a routine, when we don't have something that we do, I mean, an idle's mind is a devil's workshop. We either think of past, which then leads to depression, or we look into the future, which leads to anxiety. And we make a mistake of not really just stopping and smelling the roses, as they say.
That is,
and that's what hobbies are about, actually feeling just there and being with yourself at the moment.
that is
right?
very. So
And yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking that the last couple of things that I can think of is negative news, social media, right? If you're somebody, let's say I know my type. Okay, I get anxious a lot. And if I'm going to, and that anxiety is going to pull me to certain kinds of news, right? Because I'm worried. So I want to know. So I'm going to dig into it. Whether it's on the internet, Googling it, or whether it's looking at social media, whether it's Instagram and looking at what other people are up to and then feeling terrible about yourself. So all of this, kind of exaggerates the anxiety even more. So digitally detoxing yourself is important. You can start with 10 minutes a day and probably go to 1 to 2 hours in a day. And I think that would be ideal.
Right. You're absolutely right about these things because I think, like you said, that having the comfort of routine, it's okay not to be okay. It's important to talk about it. The comfort of routine. And of course, digital detox. I mean, that is something that is in today's day and age very important. I'd like to go over and I'd come to you, Ms. Bhagat. Actually, when we talk about a concept like anxiety, I can see that Raviji has joined. Raviji, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll
Welcome,
just
sir.
we'll just come to you as well. Ms. Bhagat, when we talk about something like anxiety, we've become a nation which is highly sleep deprived. Like that, there's some sort of a badge of honor. People think that when they say, "Oh, I slept just 4 hours," or "I'm on 3 hours of sleep," and things like that. Does that contribute to anxiety? Also, how important is physical activity, whether it is yoga or Pilates or simple gymming, to, elevate symptoms of anxiety?
Yeah. So, to add to Dr. Mamta's point, where we talk about anxiety, there's something called a gut-brain axis, right? So you can't just, if you're not eating correct, if you don't have a good lifestyle, then definitely that's going to impact your mental health. And anxiety as an issue is actually a representation of a mental condition. So that will probably, if you're not eating right, if you don't have a good lifestyle, if you do not sleep enough. So when I say enough and good quality sleep, deep sleep, that's the most important thing. If you're on bed for 8 hours, but if the quality of sleep is not good, then that's not going to contribute to good health. And sleep deprived, if we are sleep deprived, then definitely it leads to all kind of inflammatory diseases. So sleep, to have enough number of hours and quality sleep is the most important thing. And yes, one can do probably a lot in terms of having quality sleep. One is gadgets. So if you keep away from gadgets before going to bed for half an hour, 1 hour, I think a lot of us, we have this habit of kind of just scrolling and probably watching these reels, or probably constantly be on social media, and that really contributes to kind of to poor sleep. And yeah, like she said, that Dr. Mamta said that to get into a routine, to have a fixed wake up time and sleep time, that's very important. Because when you probably even when people come to us for lifestyle correction, and if we have to kind of put them into a good sleep cycle, so we always encourage them to go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. So you see, when just with this one simple exercise, what happens is that your circadian rhythm that improves, and you probably you start getting better, you start getting healthier. And sleep can never be underemphasized when it comes to your good health. You may be eating correct, you may be doing all the things correct by the book, but if you're not sleeping well and not sleeping deep and not sleeping enough, in long term, on a long term basis, it can really make you unhealthy and lead to a lot of chronic ailments.
That is true. So actually, I wanted to come to you, Raviji, on this as well. We're discussing anxiety we're talking about the mind, we're talking about the body, we're talking about the soul. So now coming to you, if you are more spiritually advanced and spiritually aware, when you meditate, you are able to beat the demon of anxiety. Is that true? Or let's get your views on that.
So when you call me Ravi, I am capable of being anxious. But when you call me air, the Atma and Ravi, then I have gone beyond anxiety. Because as air, as the Atma, when we realize that we have a body, and this body goes through whatever our dearest doctors have been talking about, there's no doubt that our level of dopamine, serotonin is important, and all these things are important. But what is the root cause of our problem? The root cause of the problem of this wellness you're talking about is the mind. And the funny thing is, we all talk of the mind, but if I ask you what is the shape of the mind, is it round like a ball or is it like a box? None of us has seen the mind. So therefore, what I'm saying is that through realizing the truth of the mind, we can overcome the mental illness. We have to find, even when they talk about, you said you're talking about meditation. When you're talking about meditation, what is it? It is not about sitting in with a spine erect in a fancy position and having all the fancy stuff that you talk of. It is the ability to still the mind. A mind which is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. Intrinsically, the mind is only full of toxic thoughts. There is nothing like being able to befriend your mind or to make your mind apna dost. No, because the mind's job is only to create fear, worry, stress, anxiety. Now, if we are able to still the mind, what is meditation? What is this ability of being in consciousness? What is this ability of mindfulness? We are talking of so many different things, but essentially coming into soul consciousness. Therefore, if we can only reach that state of being in the consciousness that I have a body, I appear to have a mind. The mind and ego says it's me, but in reality, I am none of these. Then I become free from all the suffering. See, we experience fear. We all went through the period of COVID. Even now, can you believe COVID-19 is now getting onto being alive in COVID-24? I mean, you can't. And when in reality, I wrote a book in 2020 called Fear. It's a monster. It's a FEAR. It's a false expectation appearing real. Caused by whom? Caused by the mind. When you talk about mental illness, it's worry. WORRY. What is worry? Worry is wasting life by overthinking, by R, repeated fear, by R, rehearsing the problem, and by Y, yelling, yearning and yelling. So to me, while I have even all the doctors who are in psychiatry and mental medicine and things like, they know the fact. What do you try to do when you have a problem? You give them a tranquilizer. You try to make people sleep. You try to be able to calm the mind, to still the mind, a monster. So therefore, to me, the problem of wellness comes from flipping over from a state of mind to a state of consciousness, a state of thoughtlessness. The mind is, we all talk of AK-47. Jyotsna, we talk about how the weapon AK-47 can kill, but nobody talks of MK-50. MK-50 is the mind killer 50. It is shooting at us 50 thoughts a minute. This can be 50,000 thoughts a day. Just imagine being shot at 50. We are not able to be still. You're talking about reels. I heard Manisha talking about how we are going on to reels. What is that? It is becoming a slave of the mind. You're not in control. When the mind is riding your horse, then the mind becomes the boss. And then you are at a great loss. So this is my submission to start off saying that if we want wellness of body and mind, we must move to soul consciousness. We are that. Jyotsna, we are not this. We have a body, but we are not the body. The body will have its illness. No body in this world can be born and die without decay, degeneration, disease. It is going to happen. Every body will die, but you will not die. You are immortal. When the body dies out of disease and decay, people will say you passed away. It's true, we know it, but we don't realize it. I'm coming from that domain of spirituality where there is no problem in wellness, because you are not the body and mind that becomes sick. You are the soul which is beyond sickness.
That is true. So now I will hand it over to my colleague, Kavi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'll just start with Shri Atma and Ravi ji. Welcome, sir. So my question to you is that when there's a collective consciousness, how does an individual consciousness break away? Or suppose that consciousness wants to have a consciousness of its own. So how is it that we escape a collective consciousness?
It's like, Kavi, just like you're sitting here where I'm in a garden and you try to blow a balloon. Now you blow a balloon. Where did the air come from? The air came from the collective air that is everywhere. But now that air is in the balloon.
Yes.
So the consciousness in you is coming from the universal consciousness. It's coming from everywhere. But right now you are encapsulated in this body and the consciousness is in your body. So if something's happening to you, it's different from something happening to Mamta and something happening to Jyotsna and to Manisha. Each one has got, what is SOUL? SOUL is a spark of unique life. So the consciousness of your soul is encapsulated within you. But the moment you depart, that consciousness merges with the consciousness everywhere. So I hope you're getting this. Like a balloon. The balloon has its own air, but the minute you burst the balloon, where is the air? The air merges with the air that is everywhere. So it is with consciousness.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So, Dr. Shah, a quick question for you. Where do you think we are headed as a nation when it comes to fears, anxiety, depression? Where do you think we are heading, and how far do you think we can come in this year to eradicate certain mental issues?
Well, I think I agree. I mean, as what Mr. Atman Ravi is talking about, this that he was saying that we are inherently negative. So I think we really, as a nation, as a world, we're going towards negativity all the time, whether it's through social media. There's a lot of paranoia. Even when people are posting positive things, one tends to look at it negatively. They start comparing themselves, right? Okay, why am I not like that? Right. So the seed of negativity, the seed of paranoia it kind of continues through all of these platforms, right? Whether it's news, social media, and all of that. But I can say something positive about social media and all also, that, the positive thing here is that I think after COVID, people were discussing, were more open about how they're feeling, were normalizing it, right? So I think the positive part about all of this is that there is a place that there's a place where one can discuss, can talk, and hopefully, because everyone has gone through a similar patch of life, that they see it as something which is just a passing, that it's okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ms. Bhagat, just another question for you. So basically, I'm myself curious. What about Ayurveda and how is it beneficial in a holistic approach to many lifestyle diseases, like also even obesity and sleeping less, having a sedentary lifestyle? How is Ayurveda going to be beneficial in this sector?
So though I'm not an Ayurveda expert, but the company that I own, probably we have a vertical and Ayurveda vertical there. So I do understand that Ayurveda is an organized science, and if you probably and Ayurveda is maybe it's less invasive than your conventional allopathy. So that could be one, and I think the principles of Ayurveda are like really strong. They are based on the five tattvas, which probably which is your air, earth, and so on and so forth. So that's how it is. But then yeah, so to come back to how nutrition and lifestyle can help, that is like basic hygiene. When you talk about being anxious, you talk about mental illnesses, or you talk about as a nation where we are heading. So I think a good lifestyle and good food choices, that's basic hygiene. Everybody, irrespective of what you do, when it comes to your meditation or calming yourself down or reaching out to a good doctor or a good psychotherapist, what you basically need to have in place is your basics, which is which is your food, nutrition, and your basic lifestyle, which is get into a good routine, make better food choices, stay away from anything which probably which leads to anxiety. Of course, you can always I mean, social media can be good and bad both, depending on how you choose and what you probably you can always choose what actually contributes to your happiness, and not probably it doesn't mean that you start living with some kind of some kind of an oblivion, but then of course you can choose what will keep you happy, and not something which will contribute to your anxiety, or maybe add on to your problems. So I think this is always there. This can always be done.
Thank you, Ms. Bhagat. Atma and Ravi ji, I just want to ask you another quick question that, like, people think like we are human beings on a spiritual journey, but actually we are spiritual beings on a human journey. So how do you think can we spread awareness for people to understand this and actually adopt it in their day-to-day life with gratitude, with a want to evolve a lot? And also my second part of this question is, how do we evolve in our day-to-day life?
So first of all, whether we are human beings or we are spiritual beings, this is answered by using our common sense. And I'm asking you, Kavi, and since you all are hosting the show, Jyotsna as well can comment on this. When you were born, did your body come first or did your spirit come first? You were not born on the date which is on your birth certificate. You can throw your birth certificate in the dustbin because that date is fake. Your mother will tell you that before that birth date, you were kicking in her stomach. You were alive, kicking in her stomach. Nobody can deny it, not even the doctors on this call. Therefore, Kavi, our journey starts 9 months before, when the two cells fertilize to become one. After that day, can you change your mother? Once you are conceived, so you are already born to that mother. The body is formed later. We can see as the zygote becomes the embryo and arrives as a fetus on the arrival. I don't call it a birthday. When people say happy birthday, I say happy arrival day to you. It's not your birthday, it's just your arrival day. This will make you realize why it's important. This will make you realize that you are that spark that came alive 9 months before. You are that spark that's having the human experience, because the human conception, the creation of the human being happened over 9 months in the womb of your mother. One day, this human body will go. The body will go, but the spark is immortal. The spark is energy. Even science tells you energy cannot be created or destroyed. It is only can be so our understanding of this, Kavi, which is not called understanding, which is called realization. If only we realize that we are that spirit that came first and the body came later, then the common sense, we are that spirit having this human experience. The human being will die, but the spirit or the soul or the Atma or the Ruh will not die. So this is the first part of your question. The second part you're saying, I think you asked, how can we live a better life spiritually? By asking that most important question, who am I?
Okay.
And realizing I am not I. When you came on this call, you said, hello, Mamta, hello, Manisha, I am Kavi. Sorry, that's a lie. You are not Kavi. Your name is Kavi. When you came to this earth, you are not Kavi Singh. You are given the name. Now, I speak, please don't be offended by the way I say, but the truth of the matter is you are the soul in Kavi. You are the Atma. You are that spirit which is immortal. Now, when we live like that, na Kavi, then what we are talking about, these wellness problems, this fear, worry, stress, anxiety, all disappear. Because you live in that. It's not easy. I'm not saying that what to live in this consciousness is not something you can buy on Amazon. But if we can reach that state of awakening, that state of realization, that state of spirituality. What is spirituality? It is being spiritual. And being spiritual means living as the soul, realizing I am not this body. But body will fall sick. Now, if the body falls sick and I get depressed because my body is sick, I'm going to become even more sick. Or if my mind falls sick, the mind will fall sick and create negative hormones, which will make the body sick. Even the doctors will agree to this. But when I am not the body and I am not the mind, Kavi, if you live every day as that immortal soul, then what's the problem? Then you live in that state called Sat Chit Anand. And Sat Chit Anand means the Anand, the bliss that comes from Sat Chit, truth consciousness. The consciousness that I am an immortal soul. I will not die.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So,
sir,
Kavi, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I think we're running out of time.
Sure.
So, if you don't mind, I'm going to come to each one of you. And as your closing comments, if you could, we are all really busy running around and multiple things happening in a day. So if each of you could tell us in your own way, what is it that we can do, certain practices or certain things that we can do for 10 minutes, if we have just 10 minutes to make our mind healthy, body healthy, soul healthy. So you can pick up anyone. So I'll come to you, Dr. Shah, if you could. I can't hear you. Actually, I think maybe you're on mute.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think what we need to do is to stop completely and be in the here and now, because 10 minutes is enough. We can just be here, just observe. I think Mr. Atman would agree to me. Just observe your body. Just observe, the feelings inside your body. Just try and think as to what is flowing inside of your body, right? What's your mind? Where's your mind really taking you? get into activities which keep you more or less in the moment, right? And as I said, smell the roses more than anything.
Right. Thank you. Ravi ji, I'm again calling you Ravi ji. But yeah, what is it that we can do in that 10 minutes? If I have that 10-minute after my lunch break, what can I do to bring me back to balance?
Actually, coming back to consciousness, what Mamta said to smell the roses, you can only smell the roses when you're in that stillness, in that consciousness, to see the divinity that is there in the beauty. I would take the liberty of saying, I would break up that 10 minutes to 1 or 2 minutes every hour, if I could. What happens is the whole day passes. We are like machines, like robots. If only we can stop every 30 minutes or 60 minutes, like the Japanese do. After every 25 minutes, they stop for 5 minutes. I have this habit. If only we can stop every hour, 2 hours, and be in consciousness. We are all trying to find peace of mind. But peace you don't have to find. Peace is within. You have to still the mind. Where there is a peace of mind, there cannot be peace of mind. So my answer to you, we need what she said, Mamta said as well. She said, stop. I'm saying be still. Be still, because when you're still, then you kill the mind. When you kill the mind, you kill all the toxic problems of life. But we are not able, Jyotsna, to be still. I'm saying don't say 10 minutes after lunch break, but after everything that you do, pause and be still. Come back to consciousness, then proceed. Then come back to consciousness, then proceed. That is my submission.
Thank you so much. Ms. Bhagat?
If you just have about 10 minutes to probably, to do all the right things for yourself, I would say that, to organize yourself is, I'm only talking about the practical things, which probably which will help you stay focused. So, you just need to reflect and plan. And when I say plan, you can plan your day ahead. You can probably you can reflect, you can write a journal, you can, organize your thoughts, you can organize as to, how you'll be eating on a given day. Because, eating, again, I'm bringing the attention to the fact that, eating correctly plays a significant role when it comes to anything and everything in life. Your mental health, your emotional health, and, so on and so forth. So, of course, if you have 10 minutes in a day, what you can do is that you can reflect, you can write a journal, you can organize, you can prepare for the next day. I think preparation plays a significant role. And of course, breathe. So, probably breathing is one thing which is always underemphasized and probably not paid attention to. If you could just 5 minutes in a day, if you could just give to breathing and breathing correctly and deeply, that I think that can contribute significantly to your health and wellness.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for taking out the time and talking to us. And we've got such valuable, insights from you. And have a lovely day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.